Alrighty, welcome to our regular Ask Us Anything, Tokwa Asks Anything. Has anyone got any questions or comments or news? Brian, I believe you're not in Perth.
No, we're doing the run down to Esperance, and we did a quick top up at Williams on the way through. Had a coffee there, and I'm probably in trouble because we didn't stay long enough. We probably needed a little bit more charge. So by the time we got to Lake Grace, we were down to about 6%, I think. It's still plenty, but
yep.
June gets a bit anxious. But yeah, just rocked in, getting all excited to try out the new fast charger there, and sure enough, there's another Model 3 parked, and yeah, nice chap, Andrew. We chatted for quite a while, and but he'd only just started, and he had a car full of people, so he had to fill it right up to get into back to Williams, I think. So that was all good. We spent a bit of money there and bought some food, and there was a wildflower bus, so a big crowd of people that gathered around the car and asked all sorts of questions. So it was good. Yeah, cool. Good experience. So, but anyway, we sort of took it up to about 80%, I think, got to Ravensthorpe with plenty of juice, and then we'll just take it easy and into Esperance tomorrow.
Did you, while you were waiting, did you charge at the destination charger at the motel?
Not at the motel, down at the Liberty petrol station.
Oh yes, sorry, that's it. Yes, yep.
In Ravensthorpe, yeah.
Yep.
In Lake
Grace.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so no, they're very friendly, and I just hooked up there, but yeah, it just doesn't compare to, we were doing 11 there compared to 42 at the fast charger, so it makes a big difference.
Yeah, exactly. So, Pete went to Lake Grace on the day it was installed, and well, he can tell the story. I'm sure he was quite devastated that he saw two EVs in front of him waiting for a charge.
Yours being one of them, Harold. I think you beat everyone there.
Yeah, so I was there before it was installed, or while it was being installed. And yeah, I was concerned. I got there sort of, I think it was 10:30, and yeah, it wasn't even anywhere close. But that's excellent. It's good to see it's getting good use. Once you did get on, Brian, it was all good, easy to use.
Yeah. No, it was fine. I was a bit confused at the end there. I couldn't pull the thing out, so I eventually figured out that I had to unlock the charge port. Physical exercise to go to the app and unlock it.
Yep.
So a bit concerned there for a while.
Was that after charging stopped?
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting because Tesla's brought out a new firmware version that actually automatically unlocks when charging has stopped, but maybe your car hadn't got that update.
Possibly not. Yeah, well, there was another update overnight last night, I think, wasn't there?
Oh, yes, the speed sign recognition.
Yeah, well, we won't get that back till we get back to Perth, of course.
Yes, not until...
Works really well, actually. I've been testing it all this morning.
Fantastic.
Oh, cool. Yeah, tell us about it, Pete.
Is that dot 40?
Dot 40.3, Nigel.
Yeah, I haven't got that yet. I've only got 36.11.
So Pete, you got 40.3. Is that right for your Model 3?
Yeah, came in this morning, first thing this morning.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I didn't check my car because I was in hospital all day yesterday and only got out this afternoon. And sorry about Harold, I may not be able to make it on Saturday to the cooling thing.
Yeah, no, that's totally
still in a bit of pain, so I just thought I'll take it easy, unfortunately.
Totally understand. Needless to say, we'll make sure we have plenty of fun on your behalf.
Yeah, very disappointing for me, but I was looking forward to it. I had to cancel my booking at the Cullen Hotel. So
yeah, cool. No, that's cool. Look, there'll be other opportunities where planning even longer road trips. Presuming that this one goes well, which it certainly ought to. So no, there'll always be tons of other opportunities coming up. Speaking of which, I had mentioned last week I'd showed a photo of a charger. Let me just bring it up.
Is that the new version 3 being unwrapped? Oh no,
that's whoa! He's got it on.
Wow.
A
Amazing.
Wow.
It's just a bit wild, really.
Wow.
All I can keep saying about it is it's just bonkers. And it looks pretty slim, straight on. And I even powered it up. I was hoping to get a charge from it, but it hasn't been connected to the network yet, so we've got to deal with that tomorrow. But yeah,
Wonderful.
it's certainly pretty mean on the back of the car.
Sure is. You get some looks.
Yeah, I got some pretty interesting looks as people were driving past because I just couldn't quite work out what was going on.
You're being charged while you're driving.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Harold,
right. Charge
Harold,
while-
you're gonna give EVs a bad name with this. People are gonna think that's the actual charger that comes with the car.
Yeah, so
So
anyway,
you're taking that to Coolin,
sure am.
and so what do you hook up to there to supply the juice?
Well, at worst, it'll be 32 amps three phase, so 22 kilowatts.
Yep.
I think there is a 50 amp three phase outlet, although we're still trying to get the Shire engineer to confirm that.
Yep.
But yeah, at very worst, it'll just be 22 kilowatts, which is basically twice the rate you can get in a Model 3 on AC.
Yep.
But maybe it'll be as good as 50 amps three phase, which is about, I think, 35 kilowatts roughly, which is
Fantastic.
pretty close to what the car will sort of get for much of its charging sort of session. So, you know, that's well, basically 3 times the charging rate you'd get on AC. But obviously I'll be bringing a couple of adapters so that you can basically connect 3 EVs to one 32 amp three phase outlet, so that each car gets 32 amp single phase, and that's still pretty quick charging. And yeah, we've got quite a few options, but hopefully the tritium will be working well. And if by chance we get 35 kilowatts, then we can probably effectively charge all the cars off the tritium, you know, over a set number of hours, and then other cars can just be trickle charge overnight or whatever. So actually that sort of dovetails into something that I spotted at one of the drone footages of Gigafactory Shanghai, which was this image, which I tweeted out. You can basically see these white boxes are the 1 megawatt DC power supplies, and they customarily, and you can actually see them. There's 2 there, 2 there. This grey bit here is another 2, and another 2, another 2, and another 2. And of course, if you look at the way they would normally be connected, in the orange color, I've just put lines where the 2 boxes here connect to 4 stalls each, and then these 2 boxes here connect to another 4 stalls. But these ones only logically really connect to 2 stalls each, and I'm just surmising that could mean that they might be providing up to 500 kilowatts per stall, which is sort of interesting. I tweeted this out, and Chuck basically posted it into Reddit, Tesla's Reddit channel, and it just went bonkers with people theorizing whether it was possible or not or whatever. I think one of the points they missed that I sort of put on Twitter was that to actually put 500 kilowatts into a 400 volt battery needs about 1250 amps, which is just too much. I mean, it's just too hard to get that much energy, that much current into the 2 small DC pins. So what if this is true, that they are actually going to be pumping out 500 watts? I'm thinking, well, I'm wondering whether Tesla will do a switched series parallel pack setup, whereby possibly for traction use, in other words, just for the motors, they'll just keep them at 400 volts, maybe, but they could then switch just have a couple of contactors inside the pack to switch the pack so it actually then can be connected to an 800 volt charger. And that way you only have to jam 650 odd, or whatever it is, 625 amps which they customarily do now. Now, the advantage of doing that is that if you come across a standard, say, version 2 supercharger, you just put the pack back into parallel mode and you can still charge it at 400 volts. So you've got this changeover. Whereas Porsche with their Taycan are an 800 volt pack. And the only way you can charge it on the, say, the tritiums or other lower power chargers is to use a onboard DC to DC converter, which obviously carries weight, or the cost penalty there is extra weight. And obviously we know Tesla doesn't want any extra weight in their cars, which is why they're doing their new battery packs and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I just don't know. Like I said, the picture is fairly compelling on a presumption that all of those cabinets are the 1 megawatt cabinets, and they sort of appear to be. So
how do you know those are 1 megawatt cabinets, Harold?
Oh, because they've shown them before in other photos, and tests on their website basically say they are 1 megawatt cabinets. Okay. Because in fact, there wouldn't be enough cabinets if they were the standard, you could say 150 kilowatt setup, because on those, they do 2 stalls each. So there's just not enough of them to do 2 stalls each. So these are definitely the larger, there's more like a square.
Yeah, they do look different.
Yeah. So like I said, it was a bit controversial on Reddit. It sort of got a lot of comments and people going, you know, with various theories. But you never know. So I guess literally time will tell. But yeah, I think apart from, I mean, it doesn't really matter that they've got 500 kilowatts per se. I think what could be interesting is what they're going to do with the battery packs to accept, because it has to be high voltage. They're just not going to put, you know, 1250 amps through those pips. They're just not going to do it.
Where was this again? Sorry, Harold. Was that
Shanghai?
China?
So this is, sorry, I'll just get it back up. This is in the, if you look on this upper left-hand corner, that's like the edge of their car park where they put all the cars, and a bit further to the left is where they put all the sea containers. So this is on the other side of the Shanghai Gigafactory site, which is a new site. So this is different to the other one they have on the other side, which I think's got about, I can't remember, 20 stalls, maybe more. Whereas this one is actually a 64 stall setup. So if you see the cover in the front at the bottom, that's got the same setup. So there's actually 2 rows of 32, or should I say 2 rows of 2 pairs of 16. So there's 2 lots of 32. So yeah, that's just Giga Shanghai. So maybe they are doing that in anticipation of different configurations for the new packs, perhaps, whenever they come. And like I said, the only thing that's plausible, unless they have an onboard DC to DC converter, like I said, like the Taycans do, the only other logical thing you do is basically have a series parallel combination in the battery pack. And maybe Tesla might prefer it to be 800 volts because all their power electronics becomes a bit simpler, or at least I guess you've got more power going into the motors with thinner cable or thinner windings. So don't know, but it's certainly something that's, it looks like it's, you know, there are 500 kilowatt versions that are going to happen.
Harold, I think if I remember correctly, in one of Rob Maur's episodes a few weeks ago, he was doing some back of the envelope calculations for the superchargers and working out that the Gen 3 should be able to get to about 800 volts. So that seems to agree with your theory there.
Yes. So I wonder if that means rather than, they might sort of series up two of the modules inside, presuming they're sort of like 250 kilowatt sort of separate modules or in banks of 250, maybe they can just series them up and provide the 800 volts. Yeah, Yeah, so I did actually send Rob a copy of that tweet to say, look, this could be interesting, but I haven't heard back. But I mean, that's cool. That's, you know, it's at the moment, it's just supposition from a aerial photo. But like I said, it's still a interesting sort of thing.
Absolutely.
But and it sort of bodes well with perhaps Cybertruck and all that, and the larger capacity cars that and who knows, maybe they might use that one cabinet for a semi. That might make it simple too, which obviously is 1 megawatt, which I think is what they needed to do. I think they worked out on the back of an envelope that that's roughly how you need to charge a semi to get your 500 kilometers in 20 minutes. I think it was, which I think was 400 miles in 20 minutes that Tesla had announced at the unveil. So yeah, don't know. Welcome, Peter Ship, to the club and to this Ask Us Anything. Good to see you. You've got yourself a brand new Model X.
Yeah, so far very impressed. Really enjoying it. And David has given me a few tips as well as yourself, of course. But I've got a few questions, but I'll just start with one.
Yes.
And Sentry mode. Which USB port do you put your memory stick into to record it?
Pete?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, other Pete. Pete Petrosky? Model 3 owners? I don't have
Yes,
Sentry mode.
sorry, Harold.
Sorry, Pete, yeah.
Well, yeah, I missed the question. It was broken up.
You can put into any of the USB ports. There's 2 ports, and you can just put it in any one. I just selected the right-hand one, and it works fine with me.
Okay, I noticed my passenger side one always is connected in. I assume that's for the induction charging of phones. Would that be right?
I think that's right. So it doesn't. So it doesn't matter where you plug it in, and if you don't like the position of where you're, like if you'd rather do it on the left-hand side, passenger side, just unplug that little power lead and put it into the right-hand one, and then you can plug the USB memory stick into whichever one you like.
I've actually unplugged that induction charger. Neither of our phones are induction, so we just plug it into a cable, and I've just left that unattached.
I wouldn't be using a USB stick to do recordings on. I would be using an SSD drive, because the USB sticks will stuff up after a very short period of time.
Okay.
Or you can get one of the high endurance SD cards and put that into one of the adapters and stick it into the USB port. That would work fine too, if you don't want to get a separate SSD.
So they're better options.
Yeah, there are 2 options. The SSD, as Pete said, and then you got the SD cards, but you got to make sure you get the high endurance one, because it will be reading and writing over and over again, and you need that sort of flexibility there, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
I got an SSD drive, Samsung one, and I could never format it in the, what was it, FAT32 format. So I've never actually been able to get my SSD drive or the Sentry mode to actually work and record anything.
Tesla
When
now,
was the last time you tried formatting, David?
Sorry?
When was the last time you tried formatting the hard drive? And
Probably a couple of 3 months ago, and I tried formatting it on the computer, which is what I was led to believe you have to do.
well, I think there was a update about 4 to 6 weeks ago where you can now format it in the car.
Oh,
so
right. Give that a
if you
try.
have much luck on the computer, try actually plugging it into the car again, assuming you've got the latest update. So we're up to about 2020.36.11, 2020.40. The one that I got this morning was 2020.40.3. But anything from about 36 onwards, I'm sure should be able to format it to the required format in the actual car.
And then where do you read it?
So,
You read it
so
on
you
a
can
computer or-
unplug it. So you can unplug it as long as you finish recording first and you eject it properly. But you can unplug it, and then you can watch it on any computer.
Can you
PC.
read it in the car?
Yes. Yeah, you can read it from the car too.
All right, that'd be my challenge for tomorrow.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, like Pete said, it definitely is a case that Tesla did bring in a feature whereby, because everyone complained you had to create a certain file structure and format it, and it was just friction, really. It was just something that we didn't have to bother with, and they finally relented and made that process effectively automatic. So does it mean, Pete, that you effectively plug in a blank SSD or SD card with adapter and it'll just sort itself out?
Yeah, so I think it recognizes that it's the wrong format, and then it prompts you to format it. So I think
Okay.
that's how it works.
Okay,
From
let's
memory.
try.
Another setup, the setup that I have is a micro SD card, and one of those high endurance ones, as Ash said as well. And that I find doesn't take up much room and doesn't stick out too far. So you're less likely to whack it by accident and break it off or what have you. And that seems to work pretty well for me. But in terms of, the question was whether you plug it into the left one or the right one. As the guys said, yeah, pretty sure that both of them are data as well as power. So either or should work.
Oh, that sounds good.
Has anyone used like a short lead to, well, like with a right angle, so that you can sort of tuck the cable away or tuck your device away?
I've got one of those leads, and I tried it initially, but then I just went with the micro SD card.
I've got the JEDA adapter in mind, and that comes with a short lead, but you can easily replace it with another short USB lead to plug into the other a Samsung SSD in mind.
One of the YouTube guys, I think, was iTesla. I saw a video that he did where he had the JEDA set up as well, but he wasn't happy with that. He figured that by now people would know that you're trying to hide your hard drive in there. So he went one stage further, and he took a couple of he basically took out the whole center console. In the end, he didn't need to do all that, but he's basically hidden his hard drive under the center console. So you actually have to take panels away to get to it. So I thought that was an interesting idea.
Did you have to still plug the So did he still have to plug the lead going to it in the standard port, or did he get access to the wiring loom or something like that further along the line?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he got. I just scanned through the video. I didn't watch the whole thing closely, but I'm pretty sure that he found a way to plug it in further up the line. I think from memory there was a spare slot or something, which was quite handy. So yeah. But there was part of that 2020.40.3 update this morning. There was 3 updates. So one was the speed camera, 2 was setting up a priority Bluetooth device so that the car looks for a specific device before it goes to any others. But the 3rd one was a pin for your glove box. So that's another option for your hard drive. So you could put your hard drive into the glove box. Shouldn't be too hard to get the USB cable in from the back, and then put a pin on the glove box. So that said though, there is actually a manual way to open the glove box, which seems fairly straightforward. I mean, I'm not going to actually, if this is going to YouTube, probably not worthwhile telling everyone how it's done, but yeah, there is a way to do it.
Oh, I dare say a screwdriver would probably.
I was just about to say the same thing.
You need a right angle, probably an Allen key.
No. I mean like a long screwdriver, and you just.
Oh, okay. Forcefully, of course, yes.
Just like the brick you used to get through the window in the first place.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Cool.
I've got a couple of other questions.
David.
A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned about the insurance. I wondered if any progress had been made on that.
Yes, absolutely. Martin did actually follow that through with a couple of brokers, and the prices, I think he actually put it on our forum page. They're all substantially dearer than the RAC, and they also had higher excesses. So it's still the case that the RAC is substantially cheaper at this time. Well, fortunately, unfortunately, whichever way you slice it. So yes, he absolutely did.
My insurance cover came up, it's been 1 year now. And so I rang two others because my RNC insurance went up by about $500, and the value of the car that they were willing to insure it for went down as well. So I thought I'll grab a couple of quotes. So I got one from ComInsure. So my insurance went up from about $1,200 to about $1,670, something like that from memory, about $1,700. So I got a quote from ComInsure. That was a higher excess, and they wanted $2,000. And then I tried Shannon's as well, and they wanted, I think it was $1,000 excess from memory, and they wanted $2,700. And so after I got those two quotes, I just went and accepted the higher premium from RAC.
Okay.
Just on that insurance, I paid my insurance bill today, and my insurance with the RAC is $1,098.
Yeah, it's nice.
I
think mine is extra high. So I've got anyone can drive the car. I've got my excess right down to the minimum, which brings up the premiums as well. And then about 3 years ago, I bumped into one of those timber pylons, which pushed in the front bumper on our Lexus while we were caravanning, and had to make a claim. So that got rid of my maximum no claim bonus from memory. So mine's a bit higher than it should be for the average driver.
Martin said in our forum that Suncorp came in at 808, but with a excess of 1,350. However, the cover was new for old. Budget Direct came in at 1895 with a 650 excess. Double AMI came in at 679. I think this is for a Model 3. I think it's a standard range plus, SR plus.
I should mention also I've got a performance as well, which obviously changes things. Yeah.
Double AMI came out with 679, but their excess was 1,300. And the RAC was 743 with a $500 excess. So it's still cheaper, at least in this instance, and probably most other instances at the moment.
The reason I raised it in the first instance was because when I was looking around, and just before I placed the order for the car, I think the insurance was $800 or $900 with the RAC. And then once I'd got the car, it went up to 1,100 and something. I haven't got the numbers in front of me, so that's just a generalization. And I just thought with Teslas being a very safe car, harder to steal than most Commodores. And I thought as a group, we might have been able to get a bulk deal, that's all.
Yep. Yes, and Martin did actually investigate that with a proper bona fide broker. And the broker basically admitted pretty quickly that it's a pretty good deal that the RAC has. So, and obviously he can't get a discount from them. He can only, shop it out to other companies. And yes, there was no chance of getting us any meaningful discount on the RAC price.
Okay, thank him very much for his efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a good thing to pursue because I know there are other clubs in other countries that have gotten fairly good insurance deals. Well, relatively, but I think in WA, we actually are in a unique position whereby we do have a very good insurance deal in this state, and none of the other states get it. And that's even including the NRMA or RACQ, Yeah, or RACV. They just don't do that sort of discount. And I guess let's just hope that the RACWA keeps it.
Yeah. Okay.
RACWA also provides a low emission vehicle discount as well on the insurance, which helps bring down the premiums too. So they may have something to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Okay. Can I ask my next question? With my
Sorry,
other
yes, of course.
hat on of the Mossman Park men shed, I wondered if you had had chance to fill in the form or make any decisions, Harold.
Sorry, with this,
The Mossman Park men shed.
Yes, I realise that. With this little project, I've had my hair on fire for the last, and I don't have many hairs to catch on fire. But unfortunately, this has specifically consumed days upon days of my attention. So yes, we will be having a presence at the men's shed, but I just haven't written that email to you yet, David.
Okay.
But
That's fine.
you can take it that there are 10 other people that can see that we will be there.
I had a feeling that you'd be pretty busy leading up to this EV thing on tomorrow, which I'm going to, by the way.
Yes, we got the iDrive thing tomorrow, which is basically a corporate / council fleet manager exhibition. But we're also busy with the Coolin weekend drive starting on Saturday. So yes, unfortunately, David, I haven't sent you that email yet, but I absolutely will. It's just that tomorrow I'll be busy. Friday will probably be the day for that.
Okay, that's fine.
Just remind me when that actually is.
It's on the 8th of November.
Yep.
At the Mossman Park men's shed. It's Mossman Park Craft Fair or Craft Market and the community fair. We've merged with the council. Lots of free events, I'm told, for the kids. Other members of the club have put forward the idea that we have a display of modern and vintage motorbikes. I don't know anything about that. I believe we're having an ambulance on display there. I can't tell you any more than that because everything's been put together so quickly because of COVID. We only decided probably less than a month ago to go ahead with it. It might be a suitable venue for the casual meet of the Tesla Owners Club.
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
leave you to decide on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're happy to turn up and bring a Model 3, which is really the most desirable car at the moment. Yes, absolutely, we'll be there, and in whatever capacity that the men's shed sees fit. So if they don't mind us having a car instead of a motorbike, that's totally cool.
Well, you'll be in a different area. I mean, say at a bush, if you need, you can borrow my Model 3 just to show people.
Yeah, well, we've actually got pretty good access to the Targa rally winning Model 3, which I'll just bring up a photo of, if I can get this thing happening. So yeah, no, that's fine. We're cool with Model 3s.
Last year, as you may remember, we had a racing car near the entrance. If you're thinking of the Targa Model 3,
that's right. That's the one.
The backup support vehicle. I might be able to get that near the front, and you could have another vehicle down on your stand. But cool. I'd need to know about that. We're having another meeting on Friday, and I'll see what I can do. But I can't promise anything because I'm not the organizer.
Yes, no, that's totally cool. Like I said, we're happy to bring the racing car and and another car for that matter. So the racing car, like you say, could be out the front with a prominent position. Yeah, so we can absolutely do that.
As I said, I'll have to get clearance on that because I'm not the organizer. I'm just selling wooden toys.
Yeah,
Trying
cool.
to get people to make model Teslas, but that's pushing it a bit.
Well, at the
Cybertruck should be the easiest car to make out of wood.
Well, could be.
this was a scene at the Como car show. That's the actual racing car there, and that's an aerial shot of the show. So there was a huge turnout, and the Teslas are basically in the center there. So you know, we're happy to bring the racing car and any other Model 3 for that matter. And
Okay,
that's
good.
and as Nigel fondly remembers, a year ago, that was where he got the itch that he had to scratch later that day.
I did.
Basically,
Yeah,
Right,
that Sunday I went home and ordered my Model 3.
Good on you.
in fact, there's Nigel right there.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yes.
Nigel and Linda. Yep.
That's me and the wife.
Yep.
I mean,
So,
I think last year we had 1,500 people go through the gate and pay $2. But it's also the demographics where people can afford 70 grand plus for a car.
yeah, absolutely. Yes, when you're sort of at the mature end of careers and all that sort of thing, you get a lot more discretionary income, basically. Or on the other hand, total cost of ownership, of course. You know, Teslas have no servicing, and their fuel cost is between not very much and zero, depending on how you fuel them. So even if you're a bit frugal with money, yeah, the asset's a bit expensive, but the on costs are very low. So it's a great
That's why I
investment.
bought one.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's
I make the argument that if there was two people who are buying a car now, and let's say one person buys an average $40,000 car, call it an average Camry, not the hybrid, but just the petrol version, and the other person buys a standard range Model 3, which starts at about $80,000. If you include everything, as you were saying, total cost of ownership, so fuel, maintenance, insurance, registration, depreciation, the whole lot. And if both people sell both cars after 3 years, the person with the Model 3 should be $10,000 to $20,000 better off after everything is said and done.
wow.
I think the big advantage to that is that you haven't got to put up with the dealers. If you buy a Mercedes, the last place you ever want to go to is the dealer. And they are shockers. So being free of the dealers and their excessive charges and them not doing the work and all the rest of it, you're miles in front.
Well, that's a very good point. So, yeah, I was talking about I can't remember. I think I've got the figures wrong, but this was going back a few years with our Lexus. I had to get a new key done, and I think it was $130 from memory. Someone corrected me and said, no, it would have been about double that. But whatever the cost was, to get a new key for a Model 3, which is just a card, well, you get two of them for $40. So that's 1/6 of the price. And I had a couple of scratches on my car, and I got Tesla to give me a quote for Taylor to come out and do the touch-up paint at my house. And it was something ridiculous. It was less than $50. I think it was about $40.
Wow.
So yeah, Tesla's clear business model is not to try and make money out of servicing and maintenance. But yeah, contrast that against, I think I mentioned this before, our Lexus has above the glove box, there's a tiny bit of, there's a wood grain insert. It's basically just plastic. It's very thin. It would cost 40, 50 cents to manufacture. So I got a quote to replace it, $1,100. and that did not include fitting it. So that was just for the tiny bit of plastic, which is probably about an inch high and maybe, I don't know, 30 centimeters long. So about the width of 2 rulers and the length of a ruler.
So
It wouldn't have been thicker than.
So back in the good old days when you could actually fly in a plane, you could virtually book a return trip to wherever that was made, you know, and buy it for the price it's worth, like $5 or $10, and fly it back, and you'd still be in front, and you would have had a holiday.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Incredible.
I did actually hear a great one a few years ago that someone had a Renault helicopter, and the helicopter supplier wanted to charge hundreds of pounds for this door handle that he needed. So he thought, hang on a minute, and just went down the scrapyard, found another Renault with exactly the same door handle. Just put it on for £5. But because it was an aviation part, so I think aviation's even more extreme than dealership networks. Yeah, it's a great little anecdote then.
Yeah, although ironically with the aviation thing, I believe the counterfeit second-hand aviation parts market is quite healthy. And I think they had actually found that there were some counterfeit parts that were actually fitted to Air Force One of all aeroplanes.
Well, I've even heard of fake parts being found on the International Space Station. So yeah, seriously, a few years ago.
Wow.
There are long supply chains.
Indeed. Wow, amazing. But yeah, like you say, Pete, happily Tesla are quite reasonable on spare parts. Actually, Rob, you got some door handles and mechanisms.
Yeah, I picked up 4 mechanisms for the door handles, just buy them in bulk. Plus the cover, it was about $15, including GST, for the whole thing. So it still takes a good 1 hour and up to 2 hours to change the door handle part. So.
Which is funny because my passenger side front is currently defective of a micro switch or two.
Have you ordered a kit?
No.
Okay, we'll have to fix it.
We wind the passenger window down and open the door that way.
Fortunately, you don't have to do that. You don't have to crank the winder there. So what happens when the window switch fails too? Then you will have to fix it.
Fingers crossed.
Speaking of the car show on Sunday at the Como, when all you guys left, there was 8 marks in the grass, all where the Model 3s were parked. You know what that was from, don't you?
I think I know why. I think it's the kids playing. What's the game? Dune buggy.
Yeah.
So when they play the Dune buggy game, they can use the steering wheel in the car, and it obviously moves the tires left and right.
That's correct. And the thing was, it was about 20 meters from the cricket pitch, right where a cover drive will go. And they were actually quite deep holes. I was really surprised how deep they were.
Yeah, I was a bit shocked too. I was a bit embarrassed, sort of collectively for all of us, thinking, "Oh, that's a bit deep," because it went brown. It actually sort of mushed the grass away, and then it's just you see these brown divots.
The groundskeeper doesn't remember that a Tesla was parked there.
Well, someone had a good idea, because I was complaining about my front wheels potentially having bald spots on them when the kids jump in the car and play Dune buggy, and someone gave me a good tip, which was to put a bit of cardboard under the front wheels. And so maybe next year when we go there, Rob, we either don't let the public play the games in the car, or we put some cardboard underneath the front wheels. or maybe just a bit of, yeah.
Or Teflon or something that's slippery, or 2 sheets of something that'll slide. Yeah.
I think you need the 2 sheets so that one slides on top of the other.
Yes.
That's a good idea. That's a
Or
good
a little
idea.
bit of plywood that you drive onto it, and then put a sheet or 2 sheets that then becomes the interface.
Yep.
Or we just put the car on stands, and then you can just freewheel it. It's all cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was-
tomorrow morning at 9:30, something really interesting is going to happen. Do you know what it is?
No.
I did.
Okay, so this shirt here is completely worn out. The print was on the front; it's completely gone. But behind Harold, it's on the wall there.
Oh, is it the anniversary?
No,
Is it coming
the
around again?
The Starman is going to be its closest to Mars as it ever will
Right.
tomorrow morning. So that's when it passes at its closest. And it's also tonight, Mars is as close to Earth as it will be until 2035.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
right. I remember reading that on Twitter. Yeah.
Excellent.
So that's tomorrow morning.
The telescope's out.
My shirt's worn out though; it's got holes all through it.
It'll be interesting to see if anyone ever gets a proper image of the Roadster as it comes towards Earth, because it's obviously it's orbiting effectively between Earth and Mars around the sun, and it's a bit elliptical, so it kind of goes between us and Mars from time to time. So eventually it'll come close-ish to Earth, and it'll be really interesting to see if someone can get a good image of it, just for interest's sake.
It won't look like a car.
Well, no, because the micrometeorites will slowly be cleaning it and stripping everything off it, basically, eventually.
Yeah. I'd say it'd be because it'll be just a body with no paint and no tires.
Yes. Yeah. They did say, it would last hundreds of thousands of years, but it would be peened by micrometeorites, and yeah, who knows? I guess we could guess, and we'd never know because we'd kind of be a little bit dead by then. Cool. On that great note,
Richard
Go on,
Trump
Rob.
tweeted. I thought he was dead this morning, but
Okay, mate, I'll check it.
yeah,
We've been chatting between ourselves about this.
he survived another day.
yeah. We'll stick to cars, maybe.
Yeah. Very wise.
We could discuss that at the campfire in Coolin.
It'll be good.
Speaking of which, anyone going to Coolin, I'm going to send an email out. I was supposed to do it this afternoon, but it's going to have to be either tonight or tomorrow morning. We'll just book another Zoom session so that we can sort of like speak freely about it and actively interact about the Coolin Drive. I think we've actually got I think there may be as many as 10 or 11 cars coming, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I had to cancel out today. I had a run-in with the guy at the Coolin pub.
Oh.
He got all upset. He reckoned I swore at him and all sorts of things, which I didn't do. So my wife said we're not going.
Yeah, no worries. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
no.
I don't know what was the matter with him, but he said we don't open on Saturday and we don't have food and then, but when I couldn't even get on to him, when I did, he rang me and he said, I didn't appreciate you swearing at me. And I said, well, I didn't do that. And anyway, we had a big argument and we cancelling out.
Yeah, okay, no worries. That's cool. No problems. Like I said to Ashley, there'll be other opportunities to do road trips.
Yeah, I hope so. I was looking forward to it actually. But
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we're going to, we might be planning some slightly longer ones with possibly fast DC charging in between, and then go to a place where there is just standard charging for overnight. But that's cool. That's, these things happen.
don't wait for me at Brookton or anywhere because I won't be there.
No. No, it's all good. That's cool.
So the question of charging.
Yes.
I went to Collie in the weekend for a race meeting and tried to charge my car there. And it would only charge up to about 80%. And then it's come up and said an error. And I rang up the hotline and they didn't have a clue what the error message was. It just gave an error number 74.
Hang on, we've got that error message.
What charger was it, John? Was it a Tritium?
Yeah, Tritium, yeah. The one in Collie.
And what was it? 74. Oh, Collie.
Have you got that list handy, Pete? I'm just searching for it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
74. Here we go. Tritium codes. It's just loading up. 74.
It's not a common one. So I've got two lists. I've got the
Okay,
most common one.
Yep, it's a internal charger communication fault.
Right.
CCS is the module. It's non-recoverable action sequence. Request customer to return plug to holster. Send OCPP hard reset. Request customer to try again. Contact Tritium if the status persists. So it sounds like it's comms. So maybe there was.
I did talk to the operator and he did reset the machine.
Yep.
But it still came up, and then I thought I'd leave it, and I went back the next morning, and it still just came up straight away. But also too, before that came up, I had an error number 64.
64 is a vehicle communication error. It might not have been having a good day, that charger. I've
Well, no, was I at that point in time.
Indeed.
Just for your information too, and I hadn't realised it, but I realise it now, but on my trip down to Collie, my consumption was 380 watt hours per K.
That's right.
Oh, that's high.
And so
That is very, very high.
I made Collie with about 10 Ks on the clock.
What speed were you doing?
No more than 103.
Gosh,
Towing a
that's,
truck.
that's really high.
Did you have
It's interesting. So I couldn't get home on that charge, so I went to Bunbury to Eton and charged it up. And on the way home, the consumption was only 270.
So, did you say 270?
Yeah,
That's still
That's still high.
so it's still obviously with the wind. I would think on the Saturday morning must have been some sort of headwind.
Were you towing a trailer?
Yeah.
Oh, you were.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that's different. Sorry.
But I did my initial calculations towing a trailer loaded to Mandurah and back, and I was averaging about 300. So I worked on that basis to get to Collie. But on the way to Collie, it just got worse and worse and worse. And I thought, oh, here we go. And up the hill, I could see the needle falling down quickly.
There's a great app which is called Windy, which might have given you a clue.
Right.
Because it basically it shows you the actual prevailing winds, and it actually gives you a timeline where it's forecast into the future.
Yeah.
So that can sort of tell you perhaps whether you're going to have a good day or a bad day.
So it's just interesting to note that consumption can vary so much just with a bit of headwind, and it wasn't much.
Yeah,
well, I didn't feel it in terms of driving the car. So.
What's that app called, Harold? Is it Windy, is it?
It's Windy, yeah, W-I-N-D-Y, Windy. And I presume it's on, well, it's definitely on iPhone and presumably Android. But yeah, it's
Harold,
pretty good.
There's a couple of Windy apps. One is just windy.com and the other one is Windy Wind and Waves.
Oh, hang on. I think it's, let me just check that.
What color is the icon? One's blue,
the logo is red.
Oh, it's the red one. Okay,
It's that one.
so it's windy.com.
Right. Okay, cool. Yep. Yeah, I actually got that tip from Bjorn Nyland. Oh, gee, a couple of years ago now. Yeah, it's very useful because you just don't know, especially if you're out in the middle of nowhere, which way the wind's blowing. And like I said, it can basically tell you whether you're going to have a good day or a slow day.
Yeah, I can tell you that because whichever way I go, I'm going into the wind. So go the other way to me and you'll be right.
Well, it's funny because when I went around Australia clockwise, people were sort of saying, "Oh, you should have gone the other way because all the caravanners know that you go anti-clockwise because you got better prevailing winds." And it's like, you know,
Yeah, you never know.
exactly, exactly. So, so Peter Ship, you had a bit of an adventure caravanning this year.
Yeah, we left. Well, we've got a son in Esperance, and we normally go down there, but we couldn't even go and see him when the regional borders were closed. But as soon as they opened, we took it. We've got a small motorhome. It's a Mercedes Sprinter, and we went down to Esperance. I think it was 2nd of June or 4th of June, I think it was. So we headed off down there, and we were hoping the borders would have been open to get out just after that, but that didn't happen. So we trundled up through Kalgoorlie, Menzies, Sandstone, and came out the coast at Geraldton. And then we went up to Kununurra by, different ways, but basically sticking to the coast. And then I think it was the 17th of, what day did we cross? Was it 17th of July, it might have been, we could get into Northern Territory. So we went there, and Queensland border opened the week before that. So we trundled through, and believe it or not, we live in Perth, but we get our vehicle serviced in Brisbane because we avoid the dealers in Perth. They're just shocking. In fact, most of the dealers are shocking.
So you mean to say you'll drive 10,000 kilometres to get a better deal on a 15,000 kilometre service?
Well, we'd actually save more than the cost of the fuel anyway.
So you're a bit like, oh God, what's the actor's name? Mick Dundee. What's his name?
Paul Hogan.
Paul Hogan.
Paul Hogan, when he was painting the Harbour Bridge. By the time he finished painting at one end, they had to start at the other end.
They did. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. But we would save at least the cost of fuel by going over there anyway. But it's a great excuse. But then we didn't stay in Queensland that long. But when we arrived in Brisbane, those girls, I think, arrived the next day, or the city was declared a hotspot the next day. So we made sure we did 14 days in Queensland before we headed out to Northern Territory. But it was a great trip, all told. But we then had to do 15 nights in Kununurra to come back in. It was incredibly difficult to get permission to come back in. You can't.
I was just going to say, I'm surprised you got back in because it's quite difficult.
It's very difficult, and you can't understand the app. And then if you can understand it, it doesn't work half the time. But the people who are approving it I assume they come from Perth, the people who are approving the access. We were rejected twice. We got in the third time. But a lot of people were getting to the border, even with the approval to pass. And the border police would say, oh, no, you can't do that. They'd give you completely different instructions to get in. But anyway, everyone generally had to do quarantine at Kununurra, which was probably one of the better places to quarantine anyway, because at least you had a bit of window and fresh air and good temperatures, whereas Perth, you can't even open a window. So it was a good thing. And then we sort of ambled back down to Perth. So overall, it was only away for about 4 months this year, but it was still quite good, and good weather too. That's the big thing. Although we had a lot of wind on the way up in WA, and then we had the headwind coming back down. It's crazy, but you get it both ways sometimes. But yeah, it was a great trip.
Yeah, and what you'll find in your Model X is the killer is obviously headwind, but also those chip seal roads, which on a petrol car or diesel, you sort of don't notice as much, although it still has an effect. But that's when you really notice the difference in range, is those chip seal roads, because as soon as you hear that tire noise, you know that that's wasted energy.
Very much. And our economy, it's a diesel, the van we've got, and a good day you might get high 8s or even high 9s, and if you're lucky, mid 9s. That's litres per 100 kilometres. But we had one section where I think we were in at 14 litres per 100 kilometres, which is rare, but it just goes to show the effect of the wind and everything else that you can strike. It's quite staggering, the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I suppose on that point, we're hoping to go to Esperance on about the 7th or 8th of November. I was wondering, maybe pick your brains on cables and maybe borrow a spare wheel if that's feasible at the time.
Yes, we have a spare Model X wheel. And as far as...
Is it front or back?
It's the front.
The front fit the back, wouldn't it?
It's the universal one. I can't remember. It's the one that fits both front and back. It's the front, yes. Yes.
Harold, is it just the Model X that's got different wheels at the front and the back, or is it Model S as well?
Yeah, it's John. Are they? I forget. Is it 9 and 10 inch, or is it?
It is. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So the backs are slightly fatter. So if you use the front as a spare, it'll fit. In fact, Jason, who's been on here a few times, he's symmetrical. He's gone the fronts all round, so then he can actually do proper tire rotations. Whereas currently you sort of don't. You can go left to right, but then I'm not sure if some of the tires have got directional tread. So then you've got to basically flip the tire off on the rim if you want to rotate it the other way.
You got to turn it over.
Yeah, turn it. Yeah.
How about wheel nuts sizes and that? Because I tried my sockets on mine and I couldn't find a metric one to fit, but I think it was 13, 15 or 15, 16.
No, Peter, did you take the caps off?
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't think that looked right.
Yes.
So they just pop off, do they?
There's plastic caps, yes.
And it's also an imperial size as well.
It is imperial.
Yeah.
Oh, trust the Yanks. Okay.
Imperial, nothing else.
The Tesla have actually changed the wheel nuts recently because it was so on my S, I think they're a 22 mil nut, but they're actually a 21 mil nut that's got zinc plating on it that makes it 22. But they were never really exact. So I actually just paid recently to have mine changed out, and now that they do actually fit. Oh, sorry, it might actually be a 21 mil. But now a proper wheel brace actually fits it. And in terms of the tire sizes, so mine and Rob's Model S's, our fronts and our rears are the same. I think some of the earlier Model S's, like the P85 Pluses, I think they were staggered. But I know that you can only rotate our tires on one side, not diagonal. So I think for the tread pattern.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, Peter, definitely if you do it, you can do it very carefully with sort of pliers or whatever, but you can get little, I think Super Cheap have them. It's just like little plastic, I don't know how you describe them.
A gripper.
Tongs.
Yeah, or tongs, yeah, and you just sort of pull them off. So that's why it wasn't going to fit anything.
I see. Super Cheap don't have them, but my wife bought a pair of silicone tongs for the barbecue, which didn't get that far. They got in my boot.
Speaking of nuts, the Cybertruck is only going to have 4 nuts. They're going to be big nuts, but just
one. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Just like the Formula Ones and the supercars, just the one massive nut on each wheel.
Oh, right. Wow.
I thought 4 on each.
You mean a center hub?
Yeah, center hub. Yep.
Or at least that was what was on the prototype.
And no, I think Elon confirmed it on.
Actually, I think he did, didn't he? Yeah, I remember that as well.
Yeah.
It can be more trouble for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Who's going to carry a great big socket?
Oh, you got a special spanner for it, but you've got a threaded hub there sticking out, which you've got to thread onto.
Yeah.
And every race car I've got that's got that problem, they always have an issue.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, right. That'll that'll be interesting in a year's time to see if that's
non-standard.
fast.
Yeah.
Well, there's not much about the Cybertruck that is standard, just quietly. So
You'd hope the tyres would be and the wheels would be, you know. God. Because
I mean,
what are you gonna do for if you want to change the wheels? You know, it's
well, you're just going to have that in the vault, aren't you? You're going to have all your kit and stuff in the vault.
Or you can put it in the sub trunk or the sub vault underneath.
yeah, but I mean, what happens if you need a rim in the middle of nowhere and you've used your spare?
It'll be so tough, Richard, that the rim will be the last thing that goes.
The planet will be broken, but the rim will be fine.
How would the tyre replacement places go? Would they have provision for that sort of stuff?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, most of them do now anyway. So
Yeah, right. Are there any mainstream car manufacturers that have got just centre hubs? John?
I don't know of any new ones. No.
MG used to.
Oh yeah, that's right. But I've got other cars that hubs as well. But it went out of focus for some time because it's too hard to. You got to have a centering position on the main hub to get it to fit properly. Not like on a lug nuts.
Yeah, right. Interesting. I mean, so who was it that said that? Elon had said that. Was that you, Pete?
Yeah. I'm sure I heard him say
he
that.
tweeted.
It does.
Yeah, he said yes. Something along the lines. Yes, I can confirm the Cybertruck will have big nuts, which he thought was hilarious. So that,
You know, the things he does to create funny jokes. You know, he specifically had a Model S, a Model 3, a Model X, a Model Y, a Cybertruck, an all-terrain vehicle, a Roadster, and a semi-trailer, just so he can spell sexy cars, and he admitted it. So why not have a Cybertruck with big nuts?
Yeah, on that, I actually have a theory that the entire reason that the Starship is called the Starship is just so that he can play that song, that dance song, Starships Were Meant to Fly. I guarantee you that's so that he can play that when it does.
And I think also because when it was called the BFR, a lot of people were asking, "What does that mean, Mummy?" You're like, "What's the BFR?"
Big Falcon rocket.
Big Falcon rocket.
Oh dear, he is still just a 7-year-old, isn't he? But a frighteningly intelligent one.
Well, he even made a crack during Battery Day. He said, "Oh, of course, the savings, so the gigawatt hour savings came to 69%." And then he said, "What did he say? 69.420%."
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
I see that with the latest batch of Starlink satellites that went up, was it yesterday? That should be the signal, the start of a beta customer rollout. I'm sure I saw that earlier. So that will be for North America, I think.
Yeah, it was northern USA and southern Canada.
Yeah, okay.
Which is one of those little bands, I guess. So it must be one of the main orbits that they're doing, where they've got enough coverage at the moment, which is interesting. Which obviously means we'll have zero chance anytime soon, because I think we're a similar latitude to California, LA, I think, or San Francisco, one or the other. So until those guys get a beta, we certainly won't, because everything's symmetrical, of course.
Some of the speed and latencies that people were getting seemed pretty good, especially the latest.
And that's in the current setup, which is using all RF as the interlinks, whereas the second generation of Starlink satellites will be using laser communication, which is a lot, well, basically quicker. It's not that the radio waves go any slower, but the way you process it can be a lot quicker and higher bandwidth. So I think, yeah, you're saying, Pete, that I think the latency is comparable to standard let's call, well, I don't know if it's
Yeah, less than
fiber,
0.2.
or
Yeah.
was it sort of like
It's less
fiber
than
to the node,
0.2.
or
Yeah. I mean, of course, you know, there's not that many people on the network at the moment. So, you know, once it gets opened up and more people go on, obviously all the speeds will come back a bit. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. The coverage will be, you know,
worldwide?
yeah.
So, and in
everywhere.
fact, ironically, if you're a farmer out in the sticks, you'll be getting rolled gold service. You'll be getting flat out gigabit, no problems.
The more remote you are, the better your connection.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And imagine aeroplanes, you know, I mean, there are some planes that already do have some internet or Wi-Fi, but with Starlink, it'll just be vastly cheaper
Cruise ships.
and better.
Cruise ships.
Oh, and cruise ships. Yeah, when that becomes a thing again, you know, aspirationally, you know, one day we might be good enough to be on a cruise ship or an aeroplane for that matter.
I have a lot of uses for it, use cases for it in the Pilbara. Yeah, soon as service goes live, I'm going to be doing my best to get work to be using a few of them.
Well, imagine for GIS and stuff, for surveyors and all that, you've got broadband access straight back. And as long as you can tunnel, it's fine. Like, you don't have to worry about security per se, because you just wrap it up in a wrapper, in a VPN. And
well, I do a lot of remote work, and because it's comms, I'm often in a place where the comms has failed, so therefore I don't have comms. So yeah, having a gigabit service that I can operate independently, very appealing.
well, you heard about in the States, was it Washington State, where they had those emergency responders, and they had a couple of base stations set up on site where there were no comms, you know, in a fire zone.
Did I see as well that SpaceX, that SpaceX's Starlink project has signed up the US military for a service, or did I see that somewhere?
Yeah, that's correct. You're right. I think it was on the Driven.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it wasn't.
Sorry, you broke up.
On the Driven.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere there. I think I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's entirely plausible, because low latency gigabit, I mean, the military is all over that, because they can't dream of that sort of stuff. You know, they've got their own satellites, obviously, but they're constrained. You know, they don't have 12,000 satellites in low Earth orbit.
Well, it was the military, the US military, that came up with the internet, the very beginnings of the internet. Yeah. So if anyone's got it for it, it's the military.
It was originally called the ARPANET.
Was indeed.
In the 60s, yeah. Yep. And the reason why it's so flexible is they designed it that way so it could withstand entire sections being removed and still work. And I believe the dark web, they actually sort of encourage its use, because they put a lot of traffic onto it. But the only way the dark web works is if it's the triple onion router, whatever they call it. It only works when you've got a lot of
redirections.
Yeah, and a lot of traffic. So in fact, it only works if there's sufficient amount of traffic to mask what's actually going on, or to there's so much you can't follow it all through. And that's what that's what they rely on. And yeah, it's awesome that they basically did that, you know, for their own research purposes back in the 60s. And we're really, you know, and same as, you know, GPS. GPS was originally military only, and then they had the civilian lower grade service that was only good for, I think, sort of supposedly 300 meters resolution, but then they had various algorithmic techniques that you could get it down to 100 meters, and then you could get down to 10 meters, And then they sort of worked out you could get down to about 5 meters. And of course, for the mines, you had differential GPS. So you'd have a fixed antenna with a location known, and that would then give you the offsets for this pseudo-random error they introduced. And I think it was Bill Clinton in his presidency where he basically told the military just to turn off all the errors and just have it accurate for everyone. Although I think maybe the military might have even better than what we sort of have anyway. They might be, who knows, centimeters or something. But yeah, it's pretty cool that we all get to use it. And I think there was a statement, something along the lines, or a study done, that if the GPS constellation suddenly failed, it would actually be a massive hit to the global economy, because things like all the power stations are using the super accurate timing signals to do all their synchronization.
Our rail network would stop working because all of our trains are we have very precise GPS, and we need to, because we need to know exactly where a train is, so it's not outside its limit of authority. So
on the railway line,
on the choo-choos.
Yeah, it's on the line.
Sorry, Peter, what were you going to say?
Yeah, Pete, Chip, use.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, all the phone networks rely on the precise time, switching and everything else. So
yep,
that's totally dependent on time.
Yeah. So anyone that's seen the movie Gravity, obviously doesn't want what happened in that movie to happen to the GPS satellites, or any of the others for that matter. Otherwise, I guess we'll be back in the olden days where you used to have a street directory, either a UBD or an MSD, and you used to have to turn it the correct way, depending which direction you were going. And
well, Melway's in Victoria, and I just put mine in from when I took it out of the Commodore. I didn't put it in the new car. I just put it in the bookshelf. Won't be needed anymore.
Can't even buy them anymore, can you?
I think you can.
Yeah, you can.
Can you?
They used to be at all the petrol stations. They used to be prominent, and at Marlowe's or Super Cheap.
News agents used to have them. Yeah.
And if you're flash, you'd buy one every year, and I think they were like about $25 or $30.
At least that, yeah, $25, $30 at least.
It's a bit like the American Road Atlas, where you go into any service station and there'll be a wall of them, and now you go and you've got to find them, and there's 2 books in the corner if you want one.
Yeah,
because you still need them.
Everyone's got one of these. So that's the backup.
But in the US, they don't work everywhere.
Yeah, true. And that's still that's still a pain with these things. But in Australia, effectively, we all now have free mobile calls, and internet is effectively free. I mean, you pay monthly, but you don't pay by the megawatt or megabyte or gigabyte. But isn't it ironic that all of the international roaming is still at massive cost? Massive cost.
Not if you're with Vodafone.
Yes.
It's $5 a day in about 60 or 70 different countries. And you've got full access to everything I've got here. 60 odd gigabytes of data a month and unlimited calls and so on.
Except when you go past Kalamunda at the service.
That's right, exactly right.
Oh dear. Yeah,
we have a few guys on site that still have Vodafone, and the phones work in camp, and that's it. Like, just forget it. Go half a K down the road and forget. Yeah, that's the end of your service.
Well, I think the Pilbara is virtually not 100% covered, but pretty comprehensively covered, isn't it? No, it's not.
We only get Telstra coverage down our rail line because FMG have been there for so long. Telstra have ended up covering them, and we kind of piggyback off the patches of coverage that we can get. So, but no, it's.
Well, if you go to Karajini and you've got Telstra, you're going into thing, you've got to go up to Karajini. They've done this ridiculous thing Optus works at Carragini, and Port Crawford, is it on the way to Burralulu? That's Optus as well, whereas you expect all those places to be Telstra. Yeah, Erdnadata was Optus.
Okay.
So every year we've got two. I've got Optus, so I've got Peace. I don't get calls, whereas Rosie has Telstra, and she gets it coverage pretty much all the way around.
Wow, that's really strange. And it's funny because I'm a little bit frustrated in my car because it's only got 3G, and it seems that Telstra is effectively in the city. I think they're retiring most of their 3G towers, and they're just doing 4G and obviously 5G. So I always get interruptions on streaming radio and all that sort of stuff. But when I drove to Lake Grace the other week, it was just unbroken the whole way in the entire, from basically down Brookton Highway all the way to Lake Grace was effectively unbroken mobile coverage. And it was all 3G because obviously it goes further, or it's just they haven't upgraded it yet.
Is it, sorry, Harold, is it going to be possible to upgrade that? I mean, I'm all right at the moment, I've got 4G, but in a 5-10 years time when 6G comes out, is it possible to upgrade?
There's two answers to that. Yes and no. Yeah. Yes, but no time soon. Let's just say in my car, I've got what's known as MCU1, the original media control unit. And in the United States, you could get an LTE, which is 4G upgrade, and you could have gotten that, I think, nearly 2 years ago. In Australia, that's not offered. However, my MCU will be upgraded to the version 2, which I presume will have at least 4G, but I don't know that it's got 5G. So I know Telstra is turning off 3G in 2022, I think. So yes, they have an incentive for the older cars. Well, they have a decision to make. Do they still want to have communication with the older cars on the road, or are they happy just to have it in a Wi-Fi area? In which case they may or may not do something, like change something. But I'm not sure about the Model 3s, what they have on board. It might just be LTE, I'm not certain.
Yeah, we've got 4G, LTE, it comes up on the screen.
Yeah, which I think here is just 4G in the state. Well, I think it might have been LTE here too for a little while, but it's just 4G.
Hey, Harold, 3G is not being turned off by Telstra until June 24, according to this.
Oh, June 2024?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well,
so what it says is Telstra switched off 3G connectivity on the 2100 megahertz spectrum on March 25th, but will continue to operate 3G services on the 850 megahertz spectrum until June 24.
Yes. Now, Pete, that's interesting because the 800 megahertz spectrum, that's quite unusual for GSM, and they actually introduced that because I think they called it Reach or something like Reach, because it's much long. It goes much further distances.
Lower frequency will.
Yeah. And I think they've changed the timings because I think it was said that even though you could technically get mobile phone coverage from aeroplanes that are 10 k's up in the air, like at 30,000 feet, you usually wouldn't, because the actual standard has a time limit, like a speed of light time limit for pings, and it would just be out of bounds and it just wouldn't work. So yeah, Telstra, I think, were one of the telcos that were pushing the lower frequency band. So yeah, it's entirely plausible, Pete, that yeah, that's right, that the 3G may only effectively persist in the country areas where it's useful to have it at the lower frequency and further range. But like I said, around town, there are many places, like for instance, at the Horizon Energy charger at Bentley, just as you go up the hill, my 3G literally goes to nothing. It just has, the broken antenna on the symbol on the car, because it's just a dead spot, and yet it wasn't always like that. So I think maybe Telstra is rationing the towers, or maybe if there's the tower may only have a limited capacity, and once that's reached with older devices, it just fills up and that's it. There's nothing there. Yeah, okay, so 2024 is Tesla's hard endpoint then.
Yeah, June. Yep.
Be interesting to see then when whether they support us older users and how that goes, because I have no intention of, well, I mean, obviously I'd love, I assume it's not as simple as just putting a new 4G SIM in it.
No, you need hardware. It's the hardware that needs to be compatible with it. Yeah. I mean, by way of example, for instance, I think Samsung have had a 5G phone for 12 months now. And for example, Apple haven't and don't. And in fact, they still don't yet. I mean, obviously their new to be released phone will, but the 5G.
I would be, sorry, go on.
No, you go on.
I was going to say, I would be surprised if the cars ever went 5G, just because, the higher you go up with frequency, the shorter your range is. And, just with the nature of vehicles being far away from base stations, I can't really see that you get the range that you'd need.
You're correct, Richard. You're correct.
But the thing is, most systems, when you get the newer generation, they're always backwards compatible several generations. So if someone got a 5G setup, they would still talk 4G and probably 3G as backwards compatible. So all that would happen is when you're in a built-up area with those effectively micro cells, or basically micro cells, you get super great performance in the CBD. But then as you went out to the country, it would just be talking 4G or possibly even 3G, depending. So I don't know. But
I'm going to sign out. My battery's just about gone. So thanks for everything. And
no worries,
see you
mate.
next time.
Welcome anytime. And
I've enjoyed it. It's been very good.
Excellent. No worries.
Great on the Model X.
Catch you next time.
Yes. Yeah. It's if I can work out how to cut it out.
Oh, that's all right. You just press the end button or whatever, the red button, and then you'll just disappear.
I haven't got one of them yet. There it is. Yeah. Yep.
It's all good. Excellent. So has anyone else got any news or any items or whatever?
I would just like to put out there, if anyone's got any 18-inch Model 3 wheels, or at least one. So I changed my tires recently, and I kept one of my old tires, which I want to put on a wheel to have a spare. So yeah, if you hear of anyone selling, and happy to buy all four if need be, and then I can try and sell the other three or something. But just
cool.
At least one wheel, 18-inch wheel.
Actually, in some good club news, we're actually procuring a performance Model 3 skinny spare kit, which it's from the States, and it's basically in a bag. You've got the jack, and the tire and the wheel brace, all in the kit that we can lend out. And we're getting a performance. We've already got a 18-inch aero spare wheel, but we're getting the performance kit so that's universal for all Model 3s, free to use on any road trips.
Yeah. So I've got the old 18-inch. Yeah.
Yep.
So the Stealth. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I will put our feelers out. Yeah, like you said, if anyone, if any of us hear of someone selling a set, are there any second market, what do you call it, alternative rims and stuff that you can get in Perth yet? Do any of you guys know for Model 3s?
I spoke to Tire Power about an 18-inch wheel, and I think they found one for me that would fit the Model 3, because it's not just the size, it's the depth as well, isn't it?
Yes.
That it has to be, yeah.
In fact, I've got some detail because as part of our process of getting this performance wheel, the website actually seemed to imply that the same wheel would be, or the same kit would be compatible with models 3 and S. But what we actually found, what we were told, was there are some subtle differences in the stud patterns, which was a bit strange. So 3 and Y are obviously the same, but S is not, even though it looks almost identical. I'll just try and bring those details up because they do describe the actual
the PCD.
Yeah, just talk amongst yourselves while I try and get that up.
I wonder if the Model S pattern is just more spaced apart, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is something like that. I'll just get... here we go. Yeah, right, here it is. Okay, it says that the Model S and X share the same 5 by 120 millimeter bolt pattern, while the Model 3 and Y share the same 5 by 114.3 millimeter pattern. So I presume that's the distance between two lugs or whatever. So it is a different setup. So Model 3.
So the S and the X have the same stud pattern, even though we use different wheel sizes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just the pitch circle diameter of the studs is what counts, and the wheels are different because they get the offset to the center line of the hub.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what you got to get right, the offset.
And apparently the tire size difference between the S and X makes it difficult to make them compatible as well, apparently.
Because the rim themselves.
Sorry?
You could put the rim on, but it wouldn't fit within the inner guards and the rest of it. That's it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the X and the S PCD is very unique. There's only a few cars around that have that pattern. BMW have quite a lot. Some of the other European cars, but not too many.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we were actually hunting a skinny spare. It was from a BMW that the stud pattern fitted.
Only some of them too.
Yes, and then we needed to get a spacer to clear something. I forget whether it was the calipers or something. I had to get a spacer.
Yeah, so you just change the offset of the wheel, so it goes over the caliper.
Yes, yeah, indeed, yes, yep.
Just on technical points, where can I buy windscreen wipers, Harold, for an X?
Don't ask me, because in the 3.5 years or 3 3/4 years that I've had my car, I've never changed mine. So
because you're right.
I believe they're a Bosch wiper.
Well, I cannot find any other alternative to the X anywhere. I can find the S's all over the place.
All right.
And it's to do with the washer on the wiper blade.
Oh yes, yeah, because it squirts the water through the blade. The blades, there's a hollow section or a manifold, and then you got little squirters. Yeah, that's right. But I had read years ago that it's a Bosch blade.
Okay.
So
I'll have to look a bit further. I know that system of washing through the wipers is not unique, because I think my son had a Chrysler Challenger in Switzerland, and his did the same. But I cannot find any other reference to them anywhere.
Ooh, okay. Well, we'll do a bit of.
Before I went to Tesla, I got one of the blades is a bit sort of wonky, probably from rubbish on the windscreen.
Yeah, right. Like I said, unbelievable to me. My blades are the originals.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I'd rather change the wiper blades than get windscreen scratches.
I've got news for you, John, and it's all bad.
All right.
There's two kinds of windscreens. There's those that are pitted to hell, and those that are gonna be pitted to hell. If you look closely at mine, it's it's a bit ordinary.
Is that from running in Australia?
Might be.
Yeah, that's right. Drafting behind low loaders, semi
Yeah, it's all the sand pits, yeah, because the sand is quite hard.
Yeah, but it just happened. I don't know what it's with. Well, actually, my wife's car's, her S is it's nowhere near as bad, but you can see the little pits.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is with these modern windscreens. Is it because the glass is harder, so it has like tiny little facets?
It's all relative, isn't it? It's all sand.
Yeah, it's just the sand. Yeah, exactly. And
the windscreen sand as well. So it's all just relative to the hardness.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's right. Well, exactly. The windscreen is just sand. It's just a very clear sand. Well, whatever.
All sand's clear. Yeah, anyway. I'll have to ring up Tesla.
I can ask a question.
Yes.
Talking of windscreen wipers, mine are actually going over to the driver's side and then it's just getting a little click as it comes off the edge of the windscreen, which has started in the last week or two. So I have to contact Tesla to say, stop it doing that, because they're going click, click, click. And the driver's side one is just rubbing up on the edge of the windscreen, the rubber surround.
You probably would find, though, the wiper blade itself gets hard and is not as flexible as it was when it was new. And that's what starts the issues, because the sunlight affects the rubber. And they don't fit over properly.
Nigel, your car would be less than 12 months old, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 9 months.
Yeah. So the rubber on your windscreen wipers shouldn't be going hard yet.
No, it's just that now they've started to travel just maybe half an inch further, and so they're rubbing onto the windscreen surround.
I'm pretty sure they can actually set, Harold, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they can actually set the extremities of how far they go.
Actually, that rings a bell. Yeah, I think that's right. So that it
might be doing it remotely as well.
Yeah, probably.
I read somewhere you can do that on the windows, where they can reset them opening and closing. So I'm pretty sure they should be able to do it for the wipers too. So
might get around to putting in a service request for that then.
Yeah, with the windows, you can do that yourself. You just once it's closed, I think you hold it up for 3 seconds, and then you go down and hold it down for 3 seconds. Yeah.
You've got to go up and down a couple of times, I think.
Yeah.
I remember reading about it somewhere.
Yeah, it should be in the manual. But,
yeah, because I guess these modern systems, it's just stepper motors that are synced up, and that's it. So yeah, it's not like the old-fashioned ones where it's micro switches or whatever, changeover switches. So yeah, I think that's right, Pete. I think they can recalibrate. It probably just needs a recalibration, Nigel.
Yep.
I will ask.
Which thankfully your car is still under warranty, so it's all going to be easy.
Should be under warranty for another 2.25 years at least.
Cool. And unless you do too many long trips and then you get out of the distance warranty, but that's not going to happen.
Now, what's the distance on the warranty?
80,000, I think. Is that right, Pete? On the
I'm not
three?
sure. Yeah, it's 80,000 rings a bell. I'm about to double check actually.
Yeah, I think it's 160 on the battery, or 8 years.
Yep.
So 80,000 and
4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
Because it's different in each country, the warranty. So yeah, 8 years or 192,000 kilometers, whichever comes first.
192,000.
Yes, but it's different for every battery as well. So that's on the performance. That's on my car. So that's on the long range and the performance, because I suppose because they're two different batteries.
That's 120,000 miles. That's probably why it's a weird number.
Yeah. And 70% is the
threshold. Yep.
Threshold. Yep.
That's fairly standard across the industry, I think.
Yeah, so it's 4 years and 80,000 for everything else.
Yeah, well, that's 20,000 a year, which is, I've done 14 in 9 months.
Yeah. Yeah, my car just clicked over 145,000 in 3 3/4 years, roughly. Oh no, not even 3/4. Yeah, well, roughly 3.5-ish years. So it's out of warranty, unfortunately. But then, depending on what sort of fault you have, Tesla are being fairly magnanimous about some certain faults, and they will fix them under goodwill, which is a good opportunity to remind everyone that if anything does come up where you're not happy with the initial decision, the recommended routine is just to ask for that to be escalated effectively to James Banks's manager. And if you're still not happy, just to have that escalated one level higher. And then apparently Tesla have sort of moderated their attitude as far as including some items of goodwill if it's a marginal case. So if you're just out of warranty, or whether you might still be in distance warranty but out of time warranty, or vice versa, they're fairly accommodating, has been their new order of the day.
It's unusual for car manufacturers. Just watch John Cadogan.
Yes, and I think Ken has said several times here, previously with his Audi experience that, he's had Audis that have cost thousands upon thousands of dollars to get automatic transmissions fixed, which, failed very shortly after the warranty period and so on. So, yeah, it is good to see that Tesla at least is moving its direction to be more, accommodating, especially on certain faults that clearly are known and, widespread.
For the moment.
Like door handles.
Sorry?
Like door handles.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of effort to make those super sexy handles sort of slide in and out every time you approach the car. So,
yeah, that is one problem you don't have on the X.
No, see, my I don't have door handles per se. I just have push buttons effectively. So I dare say that those things should be all right for the life of the car. We hope.
Yeah.
But then, with the Falcon wing doors and all that tension on the springs and all that sort of stuff, you never know when they might go out of alignment, but still.
Yeah, I wouldn't want an early Model X, that's for sure.
No, well, at least John's is good because he's got ultrasonic sensors on the underneath, so it doesn't hit you on the head.
Oh, I thought all of them attempted to kill you on a regular basis.
Oh, they often try, but John's would find it harder to succeed.
It's quite easy when you're 6'4" to get hit one.
Yeah, right, I bet. Yeah.
But it does work well though, because in my carport it reacts on different sides of the car to the different beams on the top and stops it. So they are quite good in that regard.
Yeah, and if someone's parked really close to you, whereas you can't really open the front door, you can still open the
back door. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome when it does that. The only thing. Go on.
I mean, famously they've got the ultrasonics that see through the metal on the outside. But are you talking about they put new ones on the inside to stop you getting?
In the door trim.
Yeah,
an ultrasonic sensor, so that if someone is standing or whatever under the door as it's coming down, it won't hit them. But yeah, that door skin sensor. So Elon Musk, every other car manufacturer would simply have put that little button.
Little puck.
Little puck. What Elon Musk has done is got this. It's a tripod. It's a big, very powerful ultrasonic transducer. It's got 3 prongs touching the door skin, so the entire that section of the door skin becomes the speaker cone of the transducer.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's how it does it.
Yes, and it screams out because it's got all this metal coupling it, and works usually very well. You know,
Really? Yeah. Okay.
all that just effort because he just didn't want that little puck thing. He just
Oh, it's an incredible. The Model X is an incredible machine. Like it's. I would like one, but I'm not giving up the S.
Elon Musk has self-described it as the Fabergé egg of
He has
cars.
indeed.
He's had every single technological advance that he could think of, you know, including the HEPA filter, the
Oh yeah, I'd really like the HEPA filter.
and he has I think he's tweeted it out, or has he mentioned it in a quarterly earnings report? There's actually got, I thought he said either CO2 or carbon monoxide sensors, like air pollution sensing as well.
Yeah, okay.
And it will automatically change its air conditioning mode to react to
Really?
that. And he actually said that, he goes, oh, we really should publicize that more so that people know about it. And I'm thinking, well, yes.
Yeah.
And he hasn't yet, but so who knows what else it can do. But,
Very interesting.
I mean, it's a bit of a polarizing car. You know, some people love them and some go, yeah, we love it, except for those stupid doors. They keep trying to kill us.
Yeah, it's Marmite, isn't it? No, I think they're incredible things, but
yeah. And the fact it does that dance, you know, it's just, and in fact, we saw it again today. Channel 7 were at the airport filming the segment for tomorrow's show.
Yeah, I'm going to be there in the morning. So
yeah, cool. It's actually on YouTube. It's actually on YouTube, the small segment that Florian.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to check it out.
And Jason had done the Tesla dance. And the funny thing was to see the reporter just giggling with like, what is this? Like, it's just crazy. And I guess that's the whole magic of it, is it's not just the car. You know, it's that whole experience.
On a Model X, no, I was surprised, and I guess a little bit disappointed. Not that I'm going to be buying one, but when the Plaid Model S, you know, was announced, that the Model X still, you know, not even a performance version or a Plaid version, but you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that want a Model X but would like the range of the Plaid Model S and are prepared to pay a premium. I was.
Well, the standard performance Model S does 0 to 100 in 2.5 seconds, and the performance X does it in 2.9, and it basically shaved half a second off the S. So if you shaved half a second off the X, say, that's about 2.5 seconds or 2.4. It's just not as impressive. So perhaps
that isn't what I'm sort of getting at in terms of performance. I don't know that there's as much of a desire for a Model X performance or a Model X Plaid, but I would think that for the range there would be. You know, if you could get a 750k range or even a 700k range Model X.
Yeah, definitely. I'd buy one.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, particularly with your towing all the time, you know, it's.
Maybe it's the classic Osborne effect. If they don't want to promise something in 12, even though it is 12 months, they don't want to impinge on sales now, perhaps.
Well, I think there was a lot of that that's probably why Musk is getting annoyed that people were sort of shrugging their shoulders at all the announcements of Battery Day, but it's because Musk knows that all of that leads to a much longer range or much cheaper prices very soon, but he doesn't want to say that, or he can't say that, because everyone will go, well, I'm not going to buy a Model 3 now then. I'll wait for a year or two until those, you know, performance or range stats increase or the price drops. So
yeah, and I think it's also part of it is a lot of the content on Battery Day was very technical, and to people that are sort of not technically minded or you know, obviously well engaged in this sort of stuff, just to hear, oh, we're going to halve the price of something, it's like, oh, that's not that impressive.
Yeah, we understand the significance, but not, yeah.
Yeah, we understand how difficult that is, especially in a market as mature as lithium-ion batteries. So, and you know, when he shows the casting, that, you know, the single hole rear piece casting, unless you're an automotive engineer who understands, there are no vehicles that have single piece castings, because well, it's just not the way they make cars. Yeah, I guess that's why Battery Day came across a lot of investors and you know, hedge funds and all that managers as unimpressive, because they didn't announce that the plaid Model S was available that following Monday, and that they already had, you know, 50,000 cars in the fleet. They already had this secret battery pack, and now it unlock more range. You know, they didn't sort of have that flash of exuberance or whatever you want to call it. It was just sort of saying, this is our roadmap, and we're going to halve the cost of batteries.
Yes.
Halve the cost. Well, we're going to well, they did announce the $25,000, you know, subcompact or whatever, you know.
That was bigger news than was given credit. Yeah. Right. Here's my theory. I suspect that $25,000 Model 2, let's call it, is not going to have a steering wheel or pedals.
Wasn't that what the Model Y was not going to have either?
Well,
I think, just quietly.
So
the Model Y wasn't going to have a steering wheel.
Well, yeah, Musk talked about deleting it. I just suspect that what he's talking about to reduce the cost is it's not going to have any controls. Model 2.
I think, with due respect to people that are more experienced than I am, maybe Nigel and John might remember the imminent advent of fusion power, and that was always always 20 or 50 years away. You know, 50 years ago it was 50 years away, and now it's still 50 years away.
Oh, I'm very skeptical on full self-driving.
It's hard. It's really difficult.
It's so hard
because it's not the freeway. It's not the ordinary surface street. It's the roundabout on its route.
I could think of a dozen use cases where you need a human judgment.
What if there's a blizzard? What if there's a sandstorm? What if there's a bushfire and you can't see the road? I mean, look,
or there's a tree across it, or
a policeman, or what if there's
someone waving at you? Yeah.
Well, actually, on that point, I was watching a video that Cruise put out. Cruise autonomous vehicles, GM's dab at it, and they had a video of the car coming up to some roadworks, and they had the guy with the stop sign. Then he turned it to go. He moved away, and then he waved the car through. And in the notes underneath, they were saying that the vehicle responding to the hand gestures. So,
and that's the thing, you know, us humans, I think we use it's been said we use a third of our brains for our visual cortex to do all that processing, and then we've got our executive function, and that's just super hard to program into anything that's made of silicon. I mean, I would have thought maybe one shortcut method is, because all these cars have high-speed telemetry, you could almost have like a call center of operators that if the car freaks out and says, I don't know what to do here, just send the front camera information and steering control, or at least certain action controls, so that then a human could very quickly, like at a call center, just pick up that and go, I know what to do. I'll just make it go. I'll make it crawl around here, or take control briefly.
Are you aware of the Chinese autonomous aerial vehicle company EHang?
Yes.
Okay, so I've been following them for a few years, and I honestly reckon that they're going to go, gangbusters. But they do exactly that. They're based on a 5G network, but they have pilots at a call center, so it's an autonomous, pre-programmed route, but a pilot can take control remotely at a moment's notice, supposedly.
Yep.
So that's the first thing that made me think of it.
It would make more sense if the person to take over control of the vehicle was sitting in it, even if it had a little you know, little twiddly knob. It would make more sense. It would be a lot
Okay,
waiting for somebody in the call centre in India to take over.
Like a Johnny cab.
But that's presupposing that that person is actually compos mentis, given that he's bought himself a self-driving car, or sorry, not self-drive. It's it drives itself. So
there could be a sort of a hybrid in between full self-driving and without a steering wheel, and where we are at the moment in that, the Cybertruck, I think from memory, the Roadster definitely had the yoke steering wheel, and I think the rumor, or some people were speculating that you could fold it and it could actually disappear into the dash when you don't need it, and then it could come out, if you wanted to take the car on a track, or if you got caught.
But I think from Musk's, I can see Musk saying we don't need it. It's an expense that we don't need.
Yeah, I can see that.
That is how I can see them getting a $25,000 car out cheaper, but sooner. If they don't.
Steering wheel cost, really?
It's not just the steering wheel.
It's not just
Yeah, because you've got all the electronics in it. You've got to have an airbag in something that moves around. You've got to have all the sensors in it. So for self-driving, so when you're
need an airbag anyway.
Yeah, but
in the column, inside in the pillars. But and don't forget, and then you won't need different versions for different markets.
True.
Or you might need the headlights to dip a different way, but you wouldn't need
Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you next week.
No worries, John. Take care. Isn't it true? Is it true that there's a car out there that has non-direct steering? In other words, steer by wire.
Oh, by wire. Okay.
Because I think it might be.
Yeah, a long time ago, I seen something. I think the Mercedes had like a joystick control, but that car never sort of was never popular, I think. But I did see it on YouTube at some stage, where they had like just a joystick instead of a steering wheel.
Because conventional cars, there's always that manual. There's a direct linkage, and then you've got your power assist on the direct linkage.
Yeah.
But so go on, Pete.
I know. I was just asking Ash whether that was just a concept car, or whether it actually made.
It could be a concept. Yeah, I think it could be. But I've seen it somewhere on YouTube a long time ago, many years ago. So yeah.
But I think the issue, it's like what even Elon Musk has said. It's the march of nines. It's the make anything that's 90% and 99%, but it's the 0.99. It's that, and it's when you've got no visibility. What do you do? When you got snow and you can't see lane markings, but you infer from the surroundings that you sort of feel your way around. It's all that sort of stuff that's really hard.
I don't want to second guess Elon. Never bet against Elon, but I don't know. I kind of feel like he's a bit too sure that full self-driving is going to work.
See, Richard, I keep on going sort of from one camp to the other.
Same.
And today I'm definitely in the camp that it's definitely going to happen, within a couple of years. Because I was driving this morning, I was testing out the new version, and near us there's some roadworks, and they're putting in a new roundabout. And there's no markings on the road. So it's just new bitumen, no lane markings, nothing. And there's no roundabout sign either.
Okay.
And there's concrete
barriers.
Barriers, yeah. And what the car did, and I went past it a couple of times just to see if it wasn't a fluke, but each time the car stopped and it rendered a red line along the bottom, exactly where it would stop if the roundabout was complete. So he must have been using obviously the top camera up the front, which is a bit higher. So he was obviously seeing over the barriers. But the roundabout wasn't even completed. There was no markings anywhere. And each time it would stop. I was absolutely blown away. Just couldn't believe it. But then again, 5 minutes later, he does something stupid. So.
Going up the freeway today, every time there was a red light on the railway line, my car would go.
Oh no! I know you have loads of phantom braking issues, Nigel.
Oh, so I'm in the opposite camp at the moment. It was bad. It was really bad today.
Go in the slow lane.
Yeah.
What's that? Where?
It's on the left-hand side, away from the track.
See, given that Elon Musk himself watches these YouTube videos every week, so he's probably the third person that watches them. We really need a feature request where every time that happens, and if you've got dash cam, you should be able to sort of spool back the dash cam, point to that red light, and go, "This is not."
Well, you can do a bug report.
Yeah, I know, and the mythical bug report, which everyone uses and no one knows whether it actually works or not, and Tesla themselves don't really say one way or the other that it actually works properly. But you almost need to be able to replay your trip, mark with a mouse or whatever, or just tap on that light and go, "This is not a traffic light," well, that you should be worried about, and exclude it. Even if it's by GPS coordinates.
But then you might have some people that deliberately want to try and tag things incorrectly to try stuff the system.
And you do crowd sourced, where you've got to have 5 votes or something to either whitelist or blacklist, or whichever way you talk about it.
I'm sure they've looked at all of these scenarios.
Well, that's the March of the Nines, isn't it? That's that. Like Pete said, sometimes your car just super impresses you with something that is just awesome, and then it just does something really stupid, and it's
sorry, Richard. Every time it happened, I had to hit the accelerator. So surely that's driver taking over from the autopilot. That should be fed back through to them.
I think it is.
Yeah, they will flag it. Yeah.
Elon Musk actually said that any driver input should be treated as an error.
Correct. Yeah.
As an error.
By definition, if you did any intervention, that means in the car, whatever it did was wrong. Unless, of course, you sort of change your mind and suddenly had to turn left because you're going a different way or whatever. But any user input is error.
I had to touch the accelerator several times going up the freeway. It was quite annoying. Which brings me to another slight point. Someone could come up your rear, or you could hit someone in front. If they get those one-piece castings, surely that's going to increase cost of repairs, because they've got to take the whole arse end off or front end off and rebuild everything.
Don't know. Maybe not.
That was just something I suddenly thought of.
Yeah, I did wonder that myself.
Depends on how. I presume. Well, it depends how the rest of the body is fixed to the, let's call it, skateboard. If it's removable fixings, you could almost imagine that the whole top body is lifted off somehow. But that's probably not how it works. And then you could just replace that casting as one piece once you've pulled everything off it or disconnected everything from it. But then maybe that's not the case. Maybe
could you not repair it traditionally, like I don't know, like how McCarthy Prestige do? I mean,
look, maybe you can. It's aluminium casting. It's die cast, or well, it's not cheap die cast. It's the good stuff. Maybe you can, if it cracks, you can weld it. I don't know.
But didn't Elon say that they've actually invented their own brand new alloy
Alloy, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that requires, because normally with aluminium casting, you have to heat treat it to get the strength. And then, of course, like you described, it's a little bit like a potato chip that it'll warp. And then in one of the Sandy Munro, was it? One of the podcasts anyway. He was talking. He was on the same program as Sandy Munro, and they were talking about you'd have to put fiducial marks and then also mill or finish certain surfaces that had to be deadly accurate on a casting traditionally, whereas his GigaPress can basically cast the entire thing. That requires no heat treating, no fiducial marks, and no finishing. So every part that had to be precise, like anything you bolted to it or whatever, was absolutely precise. Yeah, it's an amazing achievement. And like he said, he had to develop their own alloy to be able to cast without further heat treatment. It's, yeah.
It ran on some vacuum thing, didn't it? I think it sort of sucked the metal in.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, they absolutely, yeah. He did say that they vacuum out all the air so that there's no impediment. So you don't need like in plastic injection molds, you just have relief ports and it just squirts out. Yeah, in castings you just don't do that. But and I think he described it was something like about 35 milliseconds it takes.
Yeah, very, very quick.
You know that. Yeah, that's 3.5 hundredths of a second.
Yeah, when you put it like that.
An entire mold to be full. That's just mind blowing, you know. But and like he says, it displaces hundreds of parts because it's one piece in one cycle, and even if that cycle takes some minutes or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's one machine does that whole part.
Was it 350 or 370 parts that it's replacing?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I think that might have been the front and back. I think I'm not sure because I remember Sandy Munro famously criticised the Model 3 when he looked at the rear section and said there are so many pieces. There were like mixes of welding. There were laser welding, spot welding, other welding, TIG or whatever, and so many different individual pieces that had to be assembled together and bonded and whatever. And the first version of the Model Y had two-piece casting for the rear, and of course now we know that they're already building single piece for the rear and probably single piece for the front, or if not now, sometime soon. Oh, speaking of sometime soon, have you guys seen the Terra Factory Texas flyovers?
No, I'd like to.
Oh, they've already dug out a section of the pad for their casting machines and their stamping machines.
Wow.
See if I can very quickly bring out an image.
Good already.
Yeah, and they've also got some concrete footings for poles and whatever. Here we go. 2 seconds.
This is Elon speed.
Well, day 75, I think. I know we got day 76. Alrighty. Coming up in 3 seconds. This is obviously the early days, day 17. We'll just get to the good bits, which
wow.
Oh, hang on, sorry. No, got to go back. Yeah, that's a progression.
Even there, yeah.
This one might not be as good. Ah, there we go.
Wow.
So actually, let's just, there you go.
So that's interesting.
Bit before. Okay, so this is one large, I think that's, well, it's either casting or stamping that they're surmising, because it's a fair way, I think it's about 2 meters below ground level.
Yeah.
And then as he flies over it, you can see these pads here, which in Germany, they've got, you know, big columns that basically slot into the centers. And
interesting. There's those two depressions though.
Yes. Yeah. So that's consistent with what Gigafactory Berlin has got.
Okay.
They're not the same size, they're slightly different proportion. And then, you know how Musk said that this factory would be similar to the planned version of the original Gigafactory, which is like that diamond.
Oh, on True North. Yeah.
Diamond, but it's a bit weird. It's like a rectangle that's got chamfered corners. And you can see that's where the chamfering is. It goes along here and then goes at a 45-degree angle up to there, and then goes straight across.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
It's been cut off, the corners that have been cut off.
Yeah.
Like a trapezoid.
Yes.
That's a lot more than 2 meters deep.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, you're right too. That's probably 5. No, more. Yeah, you're right, Pete.
Scale of the vehicles.
Bloody hell.
So there's a lot of progress happening. You know, that entire shape is one building. That's going to have one roof on it.
Covered in solar panels, I hope.
Yeah, crocodiles down here, alligator.
Yep.
Can I digress with a question?
Yeah, of course.
Please. What happens to your car if you put it on track mode? What's different about it?
Well, go on, Pete.
I know.
I was just going to be flippant and say, well, if you put it in track mode and go to Barbagallo Raceway and roll it, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
But the center of gravity is very low. It'd be all right. I'm going out to the airport thing tomorrow.
Cool.
Do laps.
Well, you'll have to take another
round.
so am I. And yeah, I'll see you there tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete, if you want to put it on track mode, I'll have a drive.
Okay.
Pete Petrovsky, do you know? Can you describe what track mode does?
Yeah, I've had it on my car. I haven't actually driven with it yet. I haven't had the gumption to do it yet. But yeah, no, you can. So with power, for instance, you can. So you've got sliders. So you can have your. So default, you've got the same amount of power to the front and the rear wheels. So you can send all the power to the back wheels if you wanted to. You can disable the traction control completely, so you can enable the car to drift around a track if you really wanted to. You can slide the slider from one extreme to the other for regen braking as well. So what else can you do? I'll be there tomorrow as well. I can show you if you want, Pete.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Okay. No, just it'd be interesting to give it a shot, a lap or two with that on to see what happens.
Drive them both Pete's in the sporty.
Actually, Peter, I can highly, Pete and Peter, I can highly recommend getting Jürgen to hop in your car and just to do a hot lap. Because you'll just be blown away. Look, because I drove John Edwards' Targa stage winning car, and I must admit the acceleration is great, but it's not scary. Like, it's not, it just accelerates really fast in a straight line. But I think where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, is the braking. It's what you do next. It's not just a straight line acceleration.
Yeah.
and I was actually following that car later in the afternoon, going around a corner, and I tried to do the same corner at a similar sort of speed in my car, the Model X, and it just, all I could feel was every part of the stability control turning power off and chucking on, you know, braking to stop the car from not rolling over, but, you know, lurching. Whereas that Model 3 just stuck to the bitumen and just went round the corner. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, that's obviously sticky tires, which that car had. But yeah, I highly recommend if you just get Jürgen to take you for a lap, if you ask him nicely, that's an experience.
Yeah.
And it's great because, you know, how Tesla's often, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm reversing out of my driveway backwards, well, reversing and backwards, the same thing. I always get the squeaky brakes. And I did complain about it once, and then James at Tesla told me, "Oh, that's just because you use regen all the time. You don't really, you get like a build up on the discs or pads, and you get that squeaking. And all you really need to do is just every now and then use the brakes hard." Well, I can guarantee you, on that track tomorrow, if Jürgen takes your car for a spin, you'll have no residue on your discs.
So what are you guys doing at the airport tomorrow?
Pardon?
What are you guys doing at the airport tomorrow?
There's an it's, I think they're calling it iDrive. It's basically a corporate and fleet manager government sort of expo, basically promoting EVs. And
whereabouts is that?
That's at the driver training and assessment.
16 Grogan Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you just type into your navigation thing, RAC driving something.
Oh, okay. And what time is it?
It's all day. It goes from about 9 till 4 or something, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically intended as an expo for the fleet managers and you know, the local councils and state government and things like that.
Yeah.
There was actually a
registered for
a news article about it on Channel 7, which I might actually have that on YouTube. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound. Oh, that didn't work. I did get a link. I did get a link to it, and it did say YouTube, but it might not have worked. But yeah, it was just a short article on the Channel 7 news tonight. If I can bring it up. Actually, it was via Twitter. Actually, I might try it via Twitter because it was an embedded link. But yeah, so it's an opportunity basically to show off EVs to the fleet buyers who hopefully will understand the lower total cost of ownership and benefits of getting EVs. Well, hopefully anyway.
Oh no, we're keeping you up, Richard.
A 12-week-old is keeping me up.
Yes, that's right. Sleep deprivation is just one of those risks of fatherhood. I'm
20 years of working in rail has prepared me for sleep deprivation. Don't worry about that. I get more sleep here with him than I do on site.
Here we go. I've got it. We've got Mr. Arden introducing it. I'm not sure though if you can hear. Can you hear the audio on that?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
The vehicles have featured roads before, but they're still not cheap.
is the future of driving. It's the Tesla Model X putting on a singing and dancing. On display at WA's first iDrive convention.
It's all about getting some bums in seats of electric cars. Improve the technology and people to see that the cars are actually here and we can transition to clean transport today.
Hyundai, Nissan, BMW, Audi and Jaguar are all shifting gears towards electricity. This Fortana prototype is set to revolutionise the mining and agricultural sectors. Electric car sales have tripled in Australia from just 2,000 in 2018 to close to 7,000 in 2019. But we're still lagging behind other developed countries when it comes to making the switch. Electric vehicles account for less than 1% of all new car sales, compared to 3.8% in Europe and 4.7% in China. Experts say the reason Australians aren't plugging into the future is because of price. The cheapest model on the market is the Nissan Leaf, $45,000. And we're still behind on charging infrastructure.
Our Model X was the first Tesla Model X to drive maybe 2 years ago. It took us 4 days to get to Port Augusta. We spent 3 or 4 hours charging in the daytime.
Anna Hayes, 7 years.
Awesome.
On you, Jason.
Good on you, Jace, for guy that I obviously knew it was his car, but good lad.
Yes, my car was there too, and I was asked for a comment, and I went, no, Jason's the man. He can do all that. But there you go. So hopefully, perhaps 7 and 9 and 10 and 2 might be there tomorrow, but who knows?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
They probably will, because they all watch what the other ones are doing. So
true.
That's right. So, sometimes they play ball and they do like a pool. They send a pool camera and they sort of agree that they send one crew and everyone shares the footage. But then other times they're a bit more competitive.
By the way, it'll be good if they get if someone gets there.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And the good thing is that James Middleton from Tesla Corporate over East will be presenting a piece via Zoom, really? Albeit via Zoom, to all the, let's call them delegates. So that's good. And Harry Anderson will be there flying the Tesla flag in person. So that'll be very good too.
Brilliant. Okay.
For him to press the flesh. And then obviously the two Petes and me are doing laps, just taking people. Are you doing that, Peter?
Yeah.
Nigel, you too? Yeah, cool, awesome. So there'll be a lot of Teslas doing that, just doing laps.
So what time are you guys going?
Oh,
before 8 o'clock.
yeah,
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we'll be a bit tired because it's already 10 o'clock and we'll be up early. And I've got to strap back one of the power cables on my ludicrous charger. Oh, actually, Peter.
Oh, yeah.
Mr.
How are you getting on with that? Have you got your trailer, you got your tow ball hitch thing sorted out?
Yeah. I'll just show you in 2 seconds. It lives.
Holy bloody hell.
It doesn't. It looks
things you see when you haven't got a shotgun.
It looks pretty sleek from the front. And I even turned it on, got power to it, but unfortunately it wasn't hooked up to their network, so I couldn't control it. And my house hasn't got 50 kilowatts of AC. So I couldn't. I didn't dare plug it into my car, otherwise it would have popped my breaker pretty quickly. But yeah, basically it's.
Is it stable? Stable while you drive along?
It is actually. It's surprisingly, if you look up close, it's a bit hard to see, but just here, there's actually a tab that goes into the right around the charger. They've got like a 10 mil aluminium rib that gets welded to the base and goes all the way up.
Yeah.
And then we've got a tab that was just off center, and it basically bolts in internally, so it stops that speed wobble as it's going through the air.
So you're hot truck for cooling.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it's going through the air like that, cutting through, it's got zero speed wobble. But what it does have is this whole thing sort of flexes the car a little bit. It's like having a trailer, basically. So yeah, it definitely lives, and yeah, it will be a coolant.
Do you need a special license or a red flag or something on it?
No, it's within the 1200 millimeter overhang limit. So really, all the back is the equivalent of a bike rack.
Right.
So you know, some of those Thule bike racks, so you get like a double or like an extension on the standard bike rack, which actually pokes back further. You can't really see it here, but there's actually right there. I've got an auxiliary number plate, so that's all cool. So because obviously the charger slightly obscures mine. So no, it's all
You've done very well, Harold.
And
very good.
If you see this little parallelogram arrangement,
yeah,
and there's a worm drive effectively. So all you do is just turn that. Well, after you take the shackle off, these two shackles off. Sorry, that's welded on, but these two U-bolts effectively. Once you take those off, you can then just wind this whole thing down, and it just parallelograms down to the ground.
Brilliant.
You're clever, Dick.
Sorry?
You're a clever little Dickie.
Yeah. So
I'll rephrase that. You're a clever little Dickie, mate.
So yeah, I'll be taking it tomorrow, and we'll just take it off the car as a static display. But I've got some Tokwa stickers made up, so that'll be right back. So that's sort of good. So we'll be, you know, I'm basically certain that that is the only mobile 50 kilowatt charger setup that's mounted to a car in the entire world.
Good on you.
Wrong.
And I kind of know that for certain because no one else would be stupid enough to try it.
But you're gonna send it off to Tesla.
Yes, well, once I've got the proper stickers on it, I definitely will be tweeting it out. And look, it just highlights the plight of us West Australians. We've got to carry our chargers on our backs.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, like for instance, we were talking earlier about doing longer road trips. All we could do, for instance, is we could drop this at a site in Geraldton, hook it up to good power, and then that way we could get ourselves to Kalbarri really easily. So that way you're sort of like overnight at Kalbarri on the you know, AC charging, but then when you get back to Geraldton the next day or whatever it is, you can then charge up quickly and then hop back down to Jurien Bay where there's a fast DC charger. So we're going to use this as an opportunity to do extended road trips, and we could even possibly do multi-day road trips where, you know, my car gets there first, and then we just stage cars that, you know, come in hour intervals or so you can charge up and get to the next place. So and yeah, if we get a bit of publicity and a bit of agitation to get the network that we really need, then all the better. And you know, and unfortunately my car doesn't have dash cam, so you know, if the back did snap off and it just sat there tumbling, you know, down the freeway, I'm going to miss out on that awesome footage and get likes and
bloody hell.
But no, we've designed it so it is properly strong, and it's it meets the tongue requirements of, you know, the weight limits of the hitch and all that sort of stuff. So it's yeah, it's pretty wild, but you know.
Yeah, done a good job, Harold. Very good.
And like I've said before, I've got my little jig here. It all came about from my little
Lego.
Oh yeah.
parallelogram jig. And it does exactly that. So that's its up mode, and then it just gets deployed, and then the car just drives away and leaves it on the ground.
Wonderful.
Anyway,
Brilliant.
so that's that. Cool. Well, on that note, given that we've some of us have to get up early tomorrow, and
Yeah.
and I've got to apologise that I won't have had my car very well washed, because I've kind of got an attachment on the back that won't fit in the average car wash.
I was going to wash mine this evening, but now I'm just, do you know what?
Beat you all. I washed mine this afternoon.
Oh, look, I've got a chamois, and I'm just going to wet it and do the glass, and
Yeah, there you
I've
go.
got a nice long drive, and it'll pick up a heap of bugs on the front.
Yeah.
Well, it'll actually rain tonight, so I'm hoping that might be a cleansing shower, and it hopefully won't rain tomorrow. But yeah, speaking of tomorrow, we might wrap this up a little bit early than usual. So apologies to Joe and Damon, who maybe you're not quite asleep yet, but I'm afraid you're going to have to get yourselves off to sleep without the aid of this with this video. But yeah, on that note, Ash, get better soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Hope you're going all right.
we will.
Yeah.
We promise to have all the fun that you were going to have on your car, and we'll pay for that the next day as well. So that's okay. And everyone else, Pete, well, the two Pete's. Pete, I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, both Pete's, I'll see you tomorrow. Nigel and Richard, yeah, get some sleep. You look tired.
Okay, guys. See you all.
On that note, everyone
Have a good night next time.
See you next week.
Guys.
All right.
Bye.